What is going on, everyone? It's Justin here, and today I've got another video of my ultimate tech guide for the holiday season of some of my favorite tech products at different price points, and today we have the Ultimate Edition. So for the most part, these are products that start at a price point of $500 and go up to the thousands, but I did make some videos on products under $10, $25, and $50, as well as under $100 and also under $500, so the whole range has been covered across 4 episodes. So if you guys want to go ahead and check those out, I'm giving away products in a lot of those, so they're all on the channel right now. So in this video, there's going to be a lot of larger tech products on the audio side of things, as well as laptops and this crazy thing that has 2 screens, as well as the Apple M1 Max that came out just in time for the holiday season and are super powerful, a camera that I think is going to be very popular and portable, as well as an iPad that I think is a great value for 2020, in addition to some smartphone recommendations that I think are going to be very popular in the holiday season as well. So without further ado, let's just go ahead and get started with the first product. So the first product is one that I think is a really good value for this year, and that is the iPad Air 4. And essentially they have taken the same body as the iPad Pro, which was very well designed, put a processor that was more powerful than the iPad Pro and is pretty much the same as the one on the iPhone 12 and 12 Pro, and made a tablet that comes in at a price point of $599 with just a few different features that are different from the iPad Pro. The display itself goes edge to edge and is 10.9 inches, but the form factor and everything is the same as the Pro and fits in the same cases. And on the back, you have a single camera setup, and it comes in 5 different colors, which are silver, blue, green, pink, and also a gray. With that also comes Apple Pencil 2 support, so if you want to do like art and stuff or like photo edits, that is very nice. And I also like to pair it with like the Logitech Folio Touch keyboard, because that comes in at a price point much lower than Apple's Magic Keyboard, so you've got like a full-on setup that could essentially replace a computer at well under $1,000. I feel like this is a really good size for an iPad. The display quality is nice, and it is a little bit dimmer than the one on the iPad Pro and doesn't have 120 Hz refresh rate, but overall you're not really going to be able to tell a difference unless you've come from the iPad Pro. But even then, I personally value having more storage at a lower price point versus the iPad Pro, because I simply don't take full advantage of my iPad aside from watching like movies and basic photo editing. So the next product right here is the Asus ROG Zephyrus Duo computer, and it has 2 screens, as you can tell, but on the inside it also has some of the top-end specs that are available today for both like productivity and gaming. It is pretty expensive, but as you would expect from a computer that has a lot of different features, it's got the RGB display. You can also use like the trackpad as a calculator. You've got a secondary touchscreen panel that also kind of elevates upwards as you open the computer, and the screen itself is able to actually multitask, not only because it has 2 of them, but the display on the top is a 4K screen with full coverage, and it also operates in 1080p when gaming. That gives you up to 300 Hz refresh rate, which really does elevate the portable gaming experience. The second display is actually also 4K as well, and also works as a touchscreen. So say you have like a game panel and different like settings and stuff to quickly touch, as well as when you're doing productivity work in Premiere Pro or like Photoshop, you can have your layers or your timeline displayed on the bottom while you try to edit everything on the main display on top. If you guys remember, I did actually do a full review of the first generation on my channel last year, and I was really impressed by just how good the integration was of the secondary display, because a lot of times these computers just have like a ton of features, but they're just gimmicks, and they sit there, you pay extra for them, and they just become like a whole bottleneck for the system. But I feel like Asus has done an incredible job in execution of this type of technology. But on the inside, this model that I have in front of me has an i9 processor. I believe that is the top end, as well as an RTX 2080 Super that has 16 gigabytes of video RAM, as well as 32 gigs of internal. On the port side of things, you obviously expect a lot for a computer of this size, and it has Ethernet, USB, HDMI that is on the back, which is a nice touch. And on the side, you have 2 more USB ports, a Thunderbolt on one side, and also your audio and power on the other. The only thing I would say is the power is kind of in like an awkward spot, but that is because all of the airflow and the fans have to go near the back. But I've got to say, for like any creator or gamer out there looking for like the ultimate portable machine, this right here is definitely an option to consider, and at the price, it better be. So one of my favorite products of the year is the Sonos Arc, and the reason why I don't have it in front of me is because I'm using them, and there's one in my bedroom and one in my living room, and it comes in a black and white color. I just think it looks so good, it sounds amazing, and it also looks pretty good. But on the tech side of things, it has 11 high-performance drivers that are Class D digital amplifiers, as well as 8 woofers. So you get the bass, you get the whole range, you get the nice dimension, and it is also obviously Dolby Atmos supported. And whether you're watching like movies, sports, or just listening to music that is streamed from the Sonos app or from Spotify, it sounds really, really good. It is very powerful, and it is a successor that we've been waiting a long time for the Sonos Playbar. So before we move on to the next product of this video, I want to give a huge thanks to the sponsor of this video, Drop, which is a free rewards platform that is available on iOS and Android and helps over 3 million users level up their lives each day. So there's actually 3 ways that you can gain rewards on Drop, and that is through shopping, surveys, and also games on the app. So to get started with Drop, all you have to do is download the app, add your credit or debit card, and you can start shopping right away from one of the 400 plus supported retailers in all different categories. So you can go ahead and set the category that you'd like to shop at, use it, and it will add the rewards directly to your account with no coupon clipping or receipt scanning. Some of my favorite stores on the app in the tech category include Apple, which almost never offers discounts, so it allows you to at least maximize your purchase. And they also have Bose, Microsoft Store, and in other categories, there's also ones like Home Depot, which as someone who's doing a couple renovations at the same time, I've been making a lot of trips over to Home Depot. So by shopping through the application, they give you rewards and points that are added to your account, and you can go ahead and redeem those points for gift cards. There's also games and surveys that you can complete in order to earn some more points. So if you guys want to go ahead and check it out for yourself, I'm going to drop a link down below for you to sign up, and a huge thanks to Drop once again for sponsoring this video. If you guys go ahead and sign up with my link down below, you'll get 10,000 bonus points after earning your first 1,000. So one of the categories I think was most exciting for this year was cameras. And all across the lineup of like professional video and photo, there's a ton of options, including the Canon EOS R5, the R6, as well as the Sony a7S III, the Red Komodo on the video side of things, and the Canon C70. And as someone who seems to spend too much money on camera equipment, all of these are very attractive options, but I think a very universal option that is portable and a very good upgrade that is still easy to use from like a smartphone camera is the Fuji X100V. And I see professional photographers use this as like their run and gun camera that is easy to take around and even fit in your pocket, as well as people who are great at taking photos from their smartphone but may not have picked up a professional camera before. The X100V is really good because it takes 26 megapixel photos and is able to record video as well, but it definitely isn't made for that. The autofocus is also really good. It has like face tracking and stuff, so you're able to take portraits really easily, but the focal length itself is a 23mm APS-C size. But overall, you have like your classic dials on the top. It is available in black and silver. I think the silver one does look pretty good, but I personally just wanted to get an all black one. And the screen on the back also swivels quite nicely, but it doesn't fold out completely. But overall, as a photo camera that I'm able to take around anywhere when I'm traveling and stuff, I have no complaints, and it has been really fun to use. So the next product that I can really recommend is the M1 MacBook line. And whether it is the MacBook Pro, the MacBook Air, or the M1 Mac Mini, I think Apple has really blown everyone away in terms of just how well these computers perform for a first generation Apple chip computer. I've got to say, I was really skeptical before these came out and even after they were announced, but after getting my hands on them and testing them out, I was really impressed by the performance at the price point. So right now, Apple has released kind of their consumer line of M1 Macs. The 13-inch MacBook Pro, the 13-inch MacBook Air, as well as the M1 Mac Mini, and we expect that at early 2021, there's going to be the professional line of the iMac, the MacBook Pro 16, as well as the Mac Pro, potentially. And those are going to be super fast, but even with the consumer line of products, I've been really impressed by the performance, and in some aspects, it has actually beat out my Mac Pro that costs about 10 times more. So I feel like if you're looking for a new MacBook right now, the M1 option is the one to buy because it is just so well optimized and the performance is impressive. You've got 8 or 16 gigs in terms of memory options, and that is unified memory that is used by the GPU and the CPU, and the CPU is an 8-core processor that has 4 performance and 4 efficiency cores. Beyond that though, the reliability has been good. good, but I think the battery life is the most impressive thing because you get essentially double the battery on Apple's laptops. So on the MacBook Air, you get an 18-hour advertised, and on the MacBook Pro, you get up to 20 hours. But from actual world use, I find that I'm able to get like maybe 8 to 9 hours as opposed to the 3 to 4 that I was getting on the previous generation MacBooks with Intel processors. For those who may be a little bit skeptical of Apple's MacBook line, they have improved the keyboard in the past years, so that is no longer a problem. And other than that, the only complaint that I do have is that it only comes in 2-port options as opposed to 4. So that is kind of unfortunate, but otherwise, I think the M1 Mac is something that I can confidently recommend to anyone looking for a new MacBook right now. You can expect to do photo and video editing no problem, at least from a consumer level, but if you edit videos like every single day, or you're doing like 4K consistently or 6K, then I would say you should wait until the start of next year because there's going to be some very exciting releases just based on the taste that we've gotten from this line. So on the Apple smartphone side of things, Apple made 5 phones this year, including the iPhone SE, the 12 mini, the 12, the 12 Pro, and the 12 Pro Max. And across the lineup, as a consumer, you've got a ton of choices starting at $399, but I feel like the Pro line is an option that I can really recommend for anyone who has a phone that is like 2 years or older, because if you have the iPhone 11 or 11 Pro, you don't really have any reason to have to upgrade. So this right here is the iPhone 12 Pro Max, and this has become my daily phone, and some of the notable changes that they have made include some small improvements to the camera and its stabilization, better low light performance, and also the new design, which kind of squares off the edges, which I really enjoy, and I also like the fact that the front is now flat. The battery life is also improved, so that is nice, and it also has like MagSafe and stuff, but overall it is definitely a refinement year for Apple. There isn't like a ton of new features that are absolutely groundbreaking, but the changes that they have made are very nice. The phone that I'm going to recommend to the most people though is the iPhone 12. I believe that is the best value out of the entire lineup, and I also like the fact that the smaller sized iPhone 12 Pro now comes at the same size as the iPhone 12, because in the previous years the size was almost a factor in the decision as to whether you go with the standard or the Pro model of the flagship offerings. I did do a ton of videos on the iPhone 12 though, so just make sure you go ahead and check that out on the channel if you need any videos to kind of help you with the buying decision. The sensor size increase on the Pro models of the iPhone is also another area that I feel like a lot of smartphone photographers are going to enjoy, and we are also waiting for ProRAW support, which will really make a big difference in terms of being able to customize and edit the photos that you take from your pocket. If you're looking for something that is more productivity focused, so this is the Asus ZenBook UX363, and it is a 13-inch computer that is super thin and easy to take around, but it's got a nice glossy display that goes essentially edge to edge, and it comes in at a much more affordable price point than the Zephyrus that we just checked out. The model that we have right here is the Intel i5 processor with 8 gigs of RAM, and there's also an option to go up to 16 gigs and also bump it up to an i7 processor if you would like. It's got a 1080p display that overall does look pretty good, but it definitely isn't the brightest out there. And when it comes to storage, you can spec it from 256 gigs all the way up to 1 terabyte. The keyboard is also really comfortable, and of course there's a lot of options on the market that are of similar spec and form factor, but I feel like one thing Asus has always done quite well is their build quality and design, and this computer just looks really good. It's got a nice chamfer that goes on the screen channel as well as on the keyboard. The model that we have in front of us though is the upgraded Intel i7 one with the Evo certification, which means it has great battery life, and it also has like Harman Kardon sound, so I feel like for any general productivity machine, this here is a very easy option to recommend, and that is the Asus ZenBook UX363. It does also have 2 Thunderbolt ports, as well as a full-size HDMI and 2 USB-A, which is still nice to see in 2020. So when it comes to a TV recommendation, my choice is the TCL Series 6. And I've got to say, this TV has really impressed me this year for its price point, because at a 55-inch model, it comes in at about $650. And you can find a lot of TVs for less than that, like $200-300 and stuff, especially around like Black Friday and the holiday season. But the TCL is a QLED panel. It has 4K HDR and all the great features that is relevant for 2020 and beyond. And I feel like at the price point, it really does punch above its weight class. It is also a smart TV that has Roku built in, and from past experience, I think Roku is relatively reliable. I've tried Amazon, Roku, the Samsung, LG platform, and I find that the third-party ones are usually the better ones. But Roku Systems essentially covers all the streaming platforms that you need and is relatively fast and reliable. This TV also has natural motion 480 technology, which is a 120Hz variable refresh rate, and that is really important for like sports and gaming. It is also mini LED backlit, which gives you really good control of the brights and darks, and especially the contrast in the blacks. It has 4 HDMI ports, including 1 eARC, so if you want to go ahead and get the Sonos soundbar, you can plug it right in and take full advantage of it. And it also has an integrated cable channel, which is something that not all TV has, and I don't really understand why. So if you're looking for a TV that has a lot of the features that the LGs and the Samsungs have, but at a fraction of the price point, around the mid-end, then the TCL 6 series is one that I've really been impressed by. So the next product that I think that makes a great holiday gift, and maybe something that you want to pick up for the new year if you've always wanted to start up a podcast, is from our Australian friends at Rode. So this right here is the Procaster, and this is the Podcaster microphone, and this is a combination that Rode has put together that is kind of optimized to work with each other, but you can also just purchase one or the other and use it on its own. So my entire podcast, if you guys didn't know, was actually powered on this system right here. All the microphones were connected to it, and it worked very well, and is essentially like an all-in-one console that has all of your inputs via XLR for the microphones, as well as a USB. You can also take like calls via Bluetooth, and everybody can monitor their audio as well. And it is just so intuitive for someone who like doesn't really know how to use audio equipment. Here's your levels right here, your monitoring and mute. There's also the button to go ahead and set some of the settings, and because this microphone is made by Rode and is optimized for this panel, you can actually just select it as a preset, which is already fine-tuned to sound as good as possible. But you do have like all the other customization and advanced settings that you can play with as well. And over here you have your different presets of like your intro, your outro, and you can also change the color of the light. So this panel right here comes in at a price of $599, and I feel like it is a really good all-in-one solution. Definitely not the most portable, but it works very well. And this microphone comes in at a price of $99, and it is a dynamic podcast mic that, as I mentioned, is optimized to work in conjunction with the Procaster. Honestly, I was really surprised when I found out that this mic is $99 because it is just so well built. You can see it's got this full metal frame, a very sturdy stand, has XLR and includes the cables, and there's also a built-in pop filter, so that is very important in a podcast, especially for someone who talks like me. I seem to always have issues with plosives, and you can also go ahead and grab this kind of windscreen that goes on top of it and mount it onto a stand. Everything that Rode makes, you can go ahead and purchase as an all-in-one kit. So this is kind of a look at Rode's combination of podcast products, and as you can probably tell, this entire segment was recorded on the audio directly from the PodMic and the Procaster. So when it comes to a phone recommendation that is essentially the best of the best that is available today, the Samsung Galaxy Note 20 Ultra is an easy recommendation because it essentially checks all the boxes when it comes to practicality, power, and features, as well as the camera, which is also something not to forget because it is so big and the hump is massive on the back, and so is the one on the iPhone 12 Pro. But this right here is a phone that has a large screen, one of the best on the market. You also have the ability to use the S Pen, and I know at this price you can recommend something like a Z Flip or like a Galaxy Fold, but I feel like a lot of people or general consumers still don't understand the practicality of a folding screen, and with good reason. So if you're looking for like a phone that is just like relatively normal but has like all the features, then here's the Note 20. It is the dynamic AMOLED 2X panel, so if you want to like consume multimedia and everything, it is just like the brightest, most vibrant, and like pleasant display that you can find on the market today, and at a very high resolution. The cameras on the back is a 12 megapixel ultra wide with a 108 megapixel regular wide camera, as well as a 12 megapixel telephoto. And the 108 megapixel camera usually runs at a pixel bin ratio, which gives you better low light performance. But if you want to switch to the 108 megapixel image and want to print something massive, then you have the option to do that as well. And it also gives you a ton of flexibility to crop. When it comes to video recording, this phone is also one of the best on the market for an Android phone, because you know Apple has always done a really good job on the video side of things, but I feel like Samsung is a close second nowadays. The S Pen is also a great feature though, and in the past few years they haven't really had to change that much, but with a screen of this size, having a pen and everything is nice, and this year they also moved the pen over to the left side, which for someone like myself who is left-handed, that is actually pretty great, but I feel like a lot of people are going to have to get used to that a little bit. So as we get into this price range of $500 and above, you do get into like the professional field of audio equipment, at least on the entry side, because I know audio equipment can run like tens or hundreds of thousands of dollars. But a solid home option for someone who already has a lot of nice tech, but you're trying to think what to get them, is the KEF LSX. And it is actually a very versatile speaker, but the way I use it is not exactly what it's made for. So this is a speaker that has a 4-inch driver and is available in many different colors. It looks really good, and it has a great DAC that is built in, and the options you're able to have are to use it via Wi-Fi, as well as optical audio, the RCA, or even 3.5mm, but you're not really supposed to use it via 3.5 because it uses the DAC on the device you're plugging it into. So the sound quality is really nothing special. But if you go ahead and plug it in via like optical audio or use the internal DAC or through Wi-Fi, you're really gonna take full advantage of this. So if you wanna have like a nice home speaker that you stream music to, then the LSX sounds really, really good. It has very clear sound at over 160 degrees of coverage, and the Wi-Fi is also very reliable with an option to plug it in via Ethernet, but using it as a computer speaker is not exactly practical in the Wi-Fi mode because there is going to be a delay. You can also connect an external subwoofer, but I think these overall sound pretty good when they're used properly, and you can usually find it at a used price of well under $1,000 because at the full price, I do feel like it is a bit too expensive. For those who are looking for a computer that is good for productivity and also gaming, and with many options in terms of customization, Razer is a really good place to look because their computers are very well built, nicely put together, and have a lot of choice within the lineup. The model that I have in front of me is the Razer Blade 15 Base Edition with a 4K OLED 60Hz display. It also has a GeForce RTX 2070 Max Q, 16 gigs of RAM, an NVMe SSD, and also a 10th gen i7 6-core processor. The specs are definitely one thing, but the reason why I can really recommend Razer is that I just really like their design and form factor, especially with this line of computers. I also have the Razer Blade Studio Edition, and that is a super powerful computer that has a pretty much identical form factor as this one. The aluminum finish looks really good, the keyboard is nice to type on, and the trackpad is a good size, and you also have all the ports and I/O, but I've got to say this OLED display looks really, really good. The colors are all very rich and vibrant, the blacks have a nice contrast to it, and it is a 100% DCI P3 color gamut that has also been factory calibrated. So if you're doing like artistic work, then that is always something that you want to look out for. Obviously, when it comes to specs, you're going to have to decide for yourself as to just how much power you need and what you're willing to spend. But they do have a lot of offerings on the website and you can customize it exactly the way you want it. As always, if you guys enjoyed this video, make sure you drop a like, subscribe to the channel, and that pretty much wraps it up for this year's holiday tech guide all across the range, and I'll see you guys in the next one.